How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
And I think that's so I think that's a good question.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Are you ready, Mr. Producer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got it.
I think. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. Now it's time for my favorite part of the program, which is when I bring in Bob and Ryan Payne of Payne Capital Management. I love this segment because I learn a lot from them, and they give me and you really good advice about how to make more money. So, Bob and Ryan, thanks for joining as always. Another blockbuster week. I mean, things just keep moving along. We got the tax bill done. We got the rescission bill done. Seems to me that we've got a pro-business president, and it seems like the market's really like that.
Well, I think one of the things that's, I think not kind of lost on a lot of investors, Steve, is that there's a lot of deregulation going on. I mean, you were a big part of that in the last Trump administration.
Yeah.
We're seeing companies, come out with fantastic earnings. And also with their capital spending because they have a clear runway now, knowing that they're going to be rewarded for spending this money, and they're not going to be tied down by government regulation. So
I want to just amplify something that you just said because it's very important. Because as our mutual buddy Larry Kudlow would say, earnings are the mother's milk of the stock market, and so you just said that earnings have been really good, and just tell me about that. Is that how pervasive is that?
Not only are they good, but Rye, I think you and I were talking about this the other day. All the analysts are increasing their earnings estimates right now. So I think we're right now at an all-time record high in anticipated earnings.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it also plays into the fact that tariffs haven't affected the profit picture, right?
Yeah.
And that was the big thing we heard back.
All right.
Around Liberation Day, which I said, January. I said. July 4th was a lot more fun. Independence Day was a lot more fun than Liberation Day this year. What's the big concern is it was really going to chew into those margins. And now you actually having, even with tariffs, and we are going to have tariffs for sure, the profit picture is going up. And I think that's because of, what we're seeing right now with artificial intelligence. We're seeing robotics. We're seeing, companies right now, the ingenuity. And to your point, Bob, regulation is obviously we're seeing deregulation. So all those play into a counterbalance to any sort of added cost from tariffs. And I think that's really important. It just shows you the efficiency of American companies and their ability to continue to grow their profits. And it's huge.
So in your business, everybody seems to obsess about what Jerome Powell is going to do next. I know the guy in the White House obsesses over it all the time. I think maybe excessively so. But I want to give you kind of my take on this and get your guys' reaction to it. I'm kind of on the fence about this, whether we need more rate cuts. I mean, I see the inflation rate at about 2.7%. And that's kind of in the safe zone, but I'd like to be, closer to 2 to 2.5%. I don't want to flood the economy with any more cheap money because that's what led to so much of the inflation under Biden. And yet so many people in your line of business think, all we have to do is lower interest rates and everything's going to be just fine. And I think the president kind of thinks that way too, but he's a real estate guy, so he loves low rates. But where are you guys on this? I mean, and do you think those rate cuts are coming, and how, if they are coming, how important will they be?
Well, I think first of all, Steve, I think, right.
No, go. Okay, go ahead. No. I think you're dead right. I think it's not exactly a home run, because to your point, Steve, if you lower rates, that is very stimulative to the U.S. economy. And do we start overheating the economy? And if we do that, that does cause inflation. So I think you have to be careful here what you wish for, and I think that is a big concern. And Bob, I think you probably feel somewhat the same way.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Federal Reserve, they have a couple of, jobs, right? First of all, they want to keep everybody employed. And, hey, here's
You mean everybody at the Federal Reserve? Or?
Everywhere in the country. Like, jobless claims are dropping, Steve, right? This economy is booming. So you have jobless claims going down.
I know.
So, there's really, the Fed really can't cut rates here right now. I mean, it's, inflation, let's remember, is a lagging indicator. So, there could be later, inflation could come later, we don't know. Yeah. But, the economy's doing really well. We don't need that extra incentive right now.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, I know Trump wants a 200 basis point decline in rates or something.
Come on, he's the president of the country. What president in the United States, in the history of the United States, has ever asked the Fed to raise rates?
So look, when things are going well, don't change the game plan. So the other issue I wanted to bring up with you, because I get asked all the time from our listeners about this, is artificial intelligence. By the way, I hate that term, Ryan, artificial intelligence, because I like intelligence, but I don't like things that are artificial. And the polls are showing that people are kind of 50-50 on this. I mean, half of Americans are actually worried about our artificial intelligence, and half of them think it's going to be an exciting future. So a lot of Americans think it's going to be like the Terminator movie or something, and that the computers are going to take over. But it is changing. You were making the point to me offline when we were talking that that artificial intelligence really embedded into every product now. Every process is really helped driven forward by lowering costs through AI.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot like when we had the advent of the internet, right? And what you have to remember about back in 1999, 2000, it was every company that benefited. It wasn't those initial companies that were providing the infrastructure. And I think that's the big mistake right now is we're seeing, overbidded up that Magnificent Seven trade. If you own the S&P 500, you basically own the Magnificent Seven. And then maybe you own NVIDIA, you own Amazon, you own Apple, you own them outright. So I think the problem here is it probably is somewhat overinvested. And meanwhile, like you just said, every single company is benefiting from those efficiencies, just like the day we got email, right? How much more efficient were businesses when they have to write letters anymore? And what's crazy about this is the adoption rate is much quicker than the internet. So it's happening much quicker. And that's why when you think about the S&P 500 and you think about stocks in general, own the S&P 493, because every company's margins are improving. And a lot of companies pay a lot more dividends, which are important, especially if you're retiring, than just owning the tech trade, which pays very little in cash flow. So it's critical.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtual Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your virtual pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
I was deep in it, gaming on Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Unfolding the screen made it twice as big and so immersive, I kinda lost myself. Might have trolled a little too close to the sun. Someone in the chat told me to touch grass, so I took my Z Fold 7 outside and kept playing. Still won, got a tan, and a nice little reset. Powerful processor, realistic graphics, you stay locked in, streak stays alive. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Well, great point. Now, I do own NVIDIA. It's one of the stocks that's really done well for me. And we bought it about 5 years ago, so we've been very happy with that one. I don't know if you guys, how much expertise you have in this area of the new technologies, but are there any NVIDIAs out there that people should be looking at for the next big run up?
Well, of course, Steve, we all know about the Mag 7, right? The Magnificent 7.
Sure.
These are the companies that have been, the biggest performers. They supposedly have this giant moat around their businesses. But what you'll find is that if you look at your portfolio, just about every fund you own, at least 70% of all long-only funds right now own the Magnificent 7 already. So, everybody's making money on the AI trade. That's a no-brainer. But what do you want to be certain of is, as Ryan said, is every company is going to be an AI company. So you want to make sure you have international companies in your portfolio. You want to make sure that you have value portfolio stocks in your portfolio, stocks that pay dividends. You look at Europe and you look at the international markets. They're highly regulated. They're going to benefit even more from artificial intelligence because they're going to make them more efficient. Without their own, the way they blunder around all these bureaucracies, they're actually going to become more efficient because of AI. So, every company is going to increase their profit margins, which means more earnings. And if earnings go up, stock prices go up. And it's no surprise to anyone right now that the international markets are up 22% this year.
Compared to what for the U.S.? We're up about.
So the U.S. is about 8%.
7, we'll call it, or 7 or 8.
7, so yeah, that's what that's. So the international markets are doing very well. Ryan, are we going to run out of workers? I mean, we've got so much demand. As I look at the jobs reports, we've got 7 or 8 million job openings now. We're I don't know if there are 8 million Americans who are actively looking for work right now. It's amazing what's happened with the job picture.
Yeah, I say like the sun rises in the east, and every economist keeps calling for the end of the labor market, like it's going to fall off a cliff. I'm actually, and they've just been dead wrong. And so much of it's demographics, right? You have baby boomers retiring in droves. For a lot of good reasons, they've shut off the border, but immigration is down. So we have a shrinking labor force, and I think this is where artificial intelligence, it's not going to take your job. If anything, it's going to replace workers that we actually need that we don't have. And really be an enhancement for any workers that are still in the workforce, which means productivity gains. And I know, Steve, you know about this. That actually is disinflationary. Really AI is a huge need because I don't think this labor market at some point here is going to see a lot of slack. If anything, we have to anticipate it's going to stay tight, no matter what those economists love to tell you and always be wrong about.
So I'm talking to Bob and Ryan Payne, by the way, of Payne Capital Management, who have been with my show, I think, for at least 4 or 5 years and been great sponsors. So thank you, gentlemen, for what you do. I wanted to ask you about one other industry in our last couple of minutes, and that's the energy industry. Because as you know from the Big Beautiful Bill and also the rescission package, a lot of these sweetheart deals with solar and wind power are going to go away eventually. At least they look like they are going to. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. And then you've got Trump really putting a lot of money into the old-fashioned fossil fuels, oil, gas, and coal, or at least permitting for it. So do you see any positive plays in the energy industry?
Well, I think energy is an absolute place to put money right now, Steve. You have this huge demand for electricity, right? We need electrons to run these data centers. I think one of the negatives right now about AI is that our electric bills are going up because the demand, on our electricity is so great. So, one of the ways to play the artificial intelligence, and by the way, it's not intelligent and it is artificial, but it's just, it's just the evolution of technology, right? It's like we've been living with AI for years and people are afraid of it, but it's just the evolution of technology. So I think right now energy is a great place to look because we're going to need as much energy as we can get no matter what it comes from.
Well, the last question in our last 45 seconds or so, Ryan, to you. Utilities. One of the things that worries me is whether we have the capacity in the grid system to deal with what Bob was just talking about, which is the massive increase in power generation that's going to happen. And so what do you think about utilities?
Yeah, and in fact, it's actually outpaced technology over the last 12 months, right? Everyone's talking about the tech trade all the time, but utilities, which pay great dividends from a valuation perspective, much cheaper than the overall market. And to your point, I mean, our energy demand is only going to go up from here. Even if if it's only like 2/3 what we think we're going to need for artificial intelligence to run all these data centers, clearly demand's going up. And these are definitely, and this speaks to why you want to diversify your money here. And there's a lot of places to do it where you get rewarded with getting paid with cash flow. And I know our baby boomer listeners out there, they need cash flow in retirement. And that's just a great way to diversify. And again, just an adjacent place that you can invest your money. That's not just the tech trade, because it is over-owned here. I can't stress that enough. You live by the sword, Steve. You die by the sword. We don't want that with our investment portfolio.
So we've had a big run up. We've had a big run up in the market in the last few months. Ryan, are you still sticking with be bullish?
Steve, it's like my middle name right now. I think it's hard not to be optimistic at the moment. So yes, I am definitely bullish.
Well, you've been right. You've been more right than most on this stuff, and the market just continues to rise. So Bob and Ryan Payne, thanks so much for joining this afternoon. Folks, this is the More Money Show, and we will be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Great job.
Great.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.